born blue. Pardon me asking why so blue. Walking along and here comes you. Baby, baby, why so blue? Born blue. Pardon me asking, why's your son blue? Is there a reason he's stuck full of tubes and he's put inside an incubator while you watched and cried as doctors figure out what is wrong with this dude? Born blue. Hi everybody, my name is Wes McClintock and I was born blue. That song was about me. I'm not saying I was born sad or born on a rainy day. I was born the color blue, which was concerning because blue is not the default color of baby. They actually had to ship me to another hospital because the one that I was born in didn't have the facilities to look after me. So they shipped me to a hospital for dumb babies who don't even know how to be born properly. When I arrived, they put me in an incubator where my mom couldn't touch me, which killed her, and they put a bunch of tubes into my skin to see if they could turn me a more human color. Turns out I swallowed amniotic fluid on the way out of the birth canal, which is a major no-no. I didn't get the memo as a baby. No one likes the taste of that. It's the main reason why McDonald's doesn't carry their amniotic fluid McFlurries any longer. You remember those, yeah? Yeah, not great. So my condition of swallow side wasn't improving and the doctors actually thought I was gonna die. And I was just curious what that conversation would look like. Like, sorry, Mrs. McClintock, your son, he made a big mistake. He's not gonna make it. But look on the bright side. Think of all the other mistakes he would have made had he survived this embarrassing ordeal. Well, I guess the good news is I survived. And I've always been a bit different, and I wonder if I was born properly, would I made better decisions, you know? Would I have been further ahead in life as a result? I'll never know. I'm a bit different, and it could be because a part of my brain is dead. So I invite you into my world, see what it has to offer, and by the end of this show, you too will have an opinion on whether part of my brain is dead. I'll do a tally. So being born is kind of strange when you think about it. Not existing and then suddenly existing. Being thrown into a family, you have no idea the dynamics. It's just kind of strange. So from my perspective, I was a young kid. I was very happy. I had a mom and a dad, a big house, and my sister. And we all lived together. We had a pool and a hot tub. Things seemed really good. But it turns out things weren't good. So my sister, who was 10 years older than me, hated my father for constantly cheating on my mom, and she resented my mom for taking my dad back right before I was born. And I didn't know any of this, of course. I was just so happy. I just had a pool, spoiled little Wes swimming in his pool. And I was really spoiled, but I didn't know it. I had basically every single toy, so many toys that there wasn't even room for a bed. I had, Ninja Turtles. I had Nintendo. I had Stretch Armstrong, I had race cars, I had comic books, I had every single Ghostbuster except for Ray, who I said was too fat for his vehicle. I was the world's youngest fat shamer, which I guess was better than if I didn't like Winston, the black Ghostbuster. He was in shape, I didn't have a problem with him. And Ray wasn't fat, so I don't really know what I was talking about. But there was one toy I never got. Clearly I've never forgotten either. Ghostbusters had a proton pack. So they released a child-sized proton pack that you could put on and go bust ghosts. It was just like a backpack with a laser gun, and I thought, man, I could finally be a Ghostbuster. Unless it's Ray, I don't want to be him, but everyone else. And my mom knew I wanted this toy a whole lot, and she knew that it was kind of scary how much I wanted it, and she said, Wes, even if a stranger pulls up in a car and offers you a proton pack, do not get in that car. And I said, yeah, sure, Mom, I won't get in that car. But deep down, I knew I would. Because clearly this stranger knows and cares about me a whole lot more than you do. And her just dangling that thought in front of me made me think every car passing me might have a proton pack in it. And I honestly would sit there and wonder, well, maybe this is the magic guy that's going to come out of the car. Will you come and bust ghosts with me? Well, my magic man never came. What a shitty childhood. But I had a pool and I had a hot tub, so I guess I wasn't that hard done by. Now, the cool thing about having a pool was having pool parties. So we used to have the biggest pool parties with our family, before we all stopped talking to each other. But yeah, my aunts, my uncles, my cousins, my grandpa, and the guest of honor, Grandma McClintock. Now, what was so special about Grandma McClintock? Well, she had dementia. But as kids, you don't know that. We just thought Grandma was funny. And I know dementia is no laughing matter. I'm not going to tell these grandma stories to poke fun at her. I just want you to give you a window into what the McClintock family gatherings were like. So, if you're sitting at a big dinner table for Christmas or Thanksgiving and you want something passed down the line, be sure you're careful what you ask from my grandma, because she would throw the item right at your head. Usually flying buns. We only did the gravy once. We learned quickly. No gravy. If you were, say, having a good conversation, catching up with a family member, you're having a nice conversation, Grandma would quietly leave and she'd want to add to the ambience, and she would bust down the door blasting her accordion full blast, killing every conversation dead in its tracks, usually for about 20 minutes. She'll get tired pretty soon. If you're having fun swimming in our pool, Grandma would want to have fun swimming too, and she'd jump in the pool right on top of you. Oh, hi, Grandma. She's just saying hi. It's just her way of saying hi. Now, I never saw this, but my mom told me this story at one of our famous pool parties. My mom went into the kitchen to get some snacks for people, and Grandma was in there trimming her pubic hairs with the poultry shears. I think it was a lesser-known Norman Rockwell painting. At the height of Grandma's madness, she was taken into custody at the Las Vegas airport. And so we got a call from the police. She was playing a harmonica on the ground, and we're like, how in the hell did Grandma get to Las Vegas? Well, it turns out my grandpa just shipped her there on a plane. See ya. Oh, subtle, Grandpa. I don't know, my family's pretty strange. A few years ago, I don't know if you know the company Glade that makes candles, but they actually released a scented candle called Grandma's Home Baked Cookies. And I really wanted to smell something. I was like, what does a normal childhood smell like? And it smelled like absolutely nothing to me. And I feel like they should cast a wider net for people who had kind of messed up upbringings like myself. If they had a scent that said, like, Grandma trims pubes in kitchen. Oh, yeah, that rings a bell. Oh, sorry about that. Serious music. So, those pool parties were about to end, unfortunately, because my dad was caught cheating yet again, and this was the last straw. I heard them arguing very loudly. My dad's car ripped out of the driveway, and my mom said, he's not coming back. So she couldn't afford that nice big house with the pool and hot tub, so we had to move to a townhouse, and I ate chips, or crisps as they're known here. Sure, I was out of dad, but that just made the chips taste that much better. So my mom spoiled me with junk food so I'd be happy, and like my least favorite Ghostbuster, I gained weight. But it's like the song says, who needs a father when you're eating chips? Who needs a father when you're eating chips? Chips can be everything, what's there to miss? When he's caught cheating and you lose your house, chips are the only friend hanging around. With all those flavors, you'll never swim in that pool. Eating a bag a day, you're gonna look so cool. Who needs a father when you're eating chips? More salted potatoes are your only wish. Yeah, thank you. Now we're cooking. All right. So living in a townhouse without a pool or hot tub was bullshit. Is this how the commoners live? I asked my mom. Now, there was something really cool about this place. Now, my bedroom had an attic, which I always found so exciting as a kid. It's like there's a magic little room up there that I don't know what is up there, and I really wanted to know. So I enlisted the help of my friend Lucas, and I was like, let's get up into that. I want to see what's up there. And in my kid mind, I thought we could launch each other in there. I was like, we're strong enough, I'll just throw you up. But it didn't work that way. But we did open it up, and there was a bright orange bag inside the roof. So we pulled it down, and what was in it but hardcore pornography. Lots of it. 3 VHS tapes and 3 magazines. I didn't care about that proton pack any longer. Yeah, so I couldn't believe it, and I told my friends, and of course they didn't believe it either. It's like, yeah, sure, you found a bunch of porn in your attic. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna prove it to you. I'm gonna bring this porn over to the sleepover so you can see. So I pack my overnight bag with all of this newfound porn, zip it up, and my mom, like out of a sitcom's like, I don't want you getting cold overnight, I'm gonna pack this sweater. Oh! Triple X, all over, and like as fast as I found the porn, it was gone out of my life. I knew it was gone, and I was kind of upset, but it was mostly just one tape that I really liked. So I said, Mom, I know you're gonna take the porn from me. I don't mind most of it, but if you could just leave Lucky Break. I really like that tape. And she said, no, Wes, I gave all your porn to a guy at work. And I said, you gave your underage son's porn collection to a guy at work? What kind of sicko are you? And so I kept bothering her, and she's like, all right, look, Wes, on your 18th birthday, I'm going to give you your porno back. I'll get you Lucky Break back on your 18th birthday. And I said, 18, I can wait that long. So the day finally rolls around. Hey, Mom, guess what? It's almost my 18th birthday. You know what you said. Yes, I know, Wes. You've been reminding me for 6 straight years. How could I forget? So I just basically am like waiting for Lucky Break to appear in my palms. And she said, Wes, the guy at work said that he lost it. I was like, oh, smart man. He's played this game before. That's exactly what I would have said, because no man would have given that tape up. And so I really was kind of upset by this. I was like, I don't know what we're going to do about this situation, Mom. And she said, look, I'm going to get you a membership to Adults Only Video. She really wanted to stay true to her word, and God bless her. For those youngins in the audience, we used to have to go to physical porn stores to get porn, which is a crazy thought. I can't even think about it, really, but I mean, you'd have to go to a store and get a tape, and it was usually in a jumbo container, so everyone knew you were going to masturbate. Yep, again, yep. So yeah, I mean, the convenience wasn't there, but you really felt like you earned that orgasm. So anyway, my mom drives me on my 18th birthday to this porno store, and she waits in the car while I try to find a porno tape. Well, Lucky Break. And I was in there just like taking a long time because I couldn't find Lucky Break, and it's like, this is so weird. Mom's just waiting out there, and I better just find something. So I found something that wasn't Lucky Break, but it worked just as good, I guess. I find it weird when I think about that story, but I actually kind of respect the old gal for trying to do her best. Oh, man. So, back to my dad. So now that he was with a new woman with her 2 kids, I thought, you know, Dad's probably happy now. Turns out he wasn't happy. He hated where we lived. So I'm from Ontario, Canada originally, and it's notoriously flat. There are no elevation changes as far as the eye can see. He started calling it Pancake Land, and he's like, I can't live in Pancake Land anymore. And I was like, what do you mean? You already left us. He's like, no, I'm going further. I'm going 3,000 kilometers away to British Columbia where there's mountains. I said, really? He's like, yeah, I'm moving my new family out there. We're going to live in the mountains. So off he went, leaving us in the dust again, forcing his new family's vision into his future. Oh, that's him now. So this song is one I wrote for him. Fuck you. Right here, Dad, I'm talking to you. Not really sure what I did to you. I just gotta say it, fuck you. Fuck you. You need the mountains, now you found your new crew. I hope you have fun hanging out with your new family, missing out on all the changes with me, feeling free from all that shit that I put you through. Ooh, fuck you. Ow, I just hit my head. So, having your dad leave you for the mountains wasn't all bad. For one thing, more chips. 3,000 kilometers worth of chips. But I did get to go to British Columbia to see what he was talking about. And it's true, it was way prettier. The mountains were gorgeous. And we got to do a bunch of really cool things like horseback riding, skiing, camping, and the weirdest sport of all, child abuse. Now, I was not a part of this, but he did physically and mentally abuse his girlfriend's kids, and I just kind of was a spectator for this whole thing. And it was really kind of crazy, and I was like, wow, my dad's a real monster, and I'm totally terrified of him. Is everyone having a good time at this comedy show, or? That stuff gets heavy, and I'm sorry, I had to really talk about it briefly, but I wrote a little palate cleanser song just so everyone doesn't feel weird by the time they leave. So this song is called Lasagna Hat. It has nothing to do with this story at all. My lasagna hat has fallen to the floor. My lasagna hat is naked once more. My lasagna hat has seen better days. My lasagna hat is wasting away. Is everyone better? Yeah, all right, it worked. It worked, thank you. Yeah. Oh boy. So, my dad didn't last in the mountains much longer. It was about 3 years, and he kind of ruined a new family, and then we had to go back to Ontario to Pancake Land with his tail between his legs. He didn't have enough money to pay for hotels, so we drove for 3 days straight, and we had to sleep in his car every night. And one time we parked near a grain elevator in Saskatchewan, and we heard a train in the middle of the night. It woke us up, and I was like, Dad, are we on train tracks right now? And he's like, I don't think so. And it just passed us about 5 feet away. He asked me to never tell my mom that story. Don't tell your mom that. So we got back to my mom's house where I was living, and my dad's like, hey, can you go ask your mom if I can live with you? I was like, all right, weird position to put me in, but I was just so happy to have him back. And as you can see, there's kind of a thread with this show, and it's my dad. He called himself the Wild Man. So it was a way of excusing his extreme behavior, because he really did act extreme, but he thought everyone else who didn't act extreme wasn't cool like he was. So he would say, all the men on this street, they all just wait for their wives to bring them their slippers. I get shit done. I'm the Wild Man. So here's a few Wild Man stories just so you know what I'm talking about. So remember that pool I told you about that we used to have? Our neighbors put a tree in their backyard, and it littered leaves into our pool constantly, which drove Wild Man crazy. He, one night, got a bunch of black spandex, jumped the fence, dug a hole into that tree, and poured poison into it. It died within 2 days. And he was like, oh, it looks like it worked. Wild Man strikes again. Wild Man's brother, my uncle, claimed he was abducted by aliens repeatedly throughout the years. I don't have enough time to get into my whole family. But he did say that every time he was abducted, someone would take a scraping of his shins. And so every time he got abducted, there was shins missing. So my dad's like, you know what? I think I was abducted too. So every time I went camping with Wild Man, he would make me check my shins when we woke up to see if we were abducted by aliens. And I was like, no, Dad, we weren't abducted. Why am I the adult here? Wild Man hated it when people blasted their high beams into the back of his car. It would drive him mad, so he affixed a halogen light bulb out the back of his car, and anytime someone pissed him off, he would just switch it on and blast the holy rays of heaven into their eyes. He may have killed people. I don't know. Wild Man, he had those kinds of things. One time we tried getting onto a plane, and Wild Man had a box cutter. And the security's like, sir, you can't get on the plane with that. And he's like, yeah, because I'm going to slit the pilot's throat. Yeah, I'm going to slit everyone's throat on this plane. And they're like, sir, can we have the box cutter? This was back in the 90s. They let him on the plane, and they took the box cutter from him. I was like, that wouldn't have happened nowadays. I found out that Wild Man was a horseback police officer in the 1970s, which scares the shit out of son of Wild Man. You enforced the law? Yeah, so he had this story once where he said this horse that he was riding ran into traffic, and he had to pull it off to the sidewalk, and in order to show him a lesson, he punched him directly in the horse face. Just punched him as hard as he could. He liked to tell that story. He used to say, anyone's problem with me is their problem. And I thought that was a cool life philosophy, but then I also wondered, why do so many people have so many problems with you? Neighbors put a tree near the pool in my backyard. The leaves are falling endlessly and making life real hard. I'm trying to act calmly, but I bought a ninja suit. Tonight I'll jump the fence and pour some bleach into its roots. People drive behind me with their lights at full embrace. I cannot see the road or my hand in front my face. With halogens on sale, lady luck is on my side. To blind the blinder's eyes keeps me more than satisfied. Oh, I'm a wild man, and oh, my ground I will stand. I'm a wild man. Thinking about my days as a policeman on the force. Spending all my time riding round on my horse. Well, if he tries to run away, I'll punch him in the nose. Now you've learned a lesson from my fist, that's how it goes. Oh, I'm a wild man, and oh, my ground I will stand. I'm a wild man. Thank you. So, Wild Man died Christmas Day, 1999. He was rushed to a hospital. No one knew what was wrong with him. He couldn't breathe. They had to put him in a coma. And 2 weeks later, he died right on Christmas Day. So it was very strange for me because I had a dad. He was sick for very short, and then he was just gone. He had an advanced form of leukemia, and it just kind of got him really quickly. So we weren't there for the Christmas Day that he passed away because we went to my sister's house, which was 2 hours from there. So just try to picture this Christmas Day. It was my mom, my sister, her husband, and I. I get past a big tin, a gift, and I open it up and it's just filled with joints, just tons of marijuana. So what do? We just get high all day. We get high and we drink and we're just like really messed up. I was like, this is all right, Christmas. And 3 p.m. we get a call, and on the call display, it is my dad's girlfriend. And my mom and sister seem to have a thing against her. They're like, she's just gonna ruin Christmas Day, don't answer it. She's just all overreacting. 5 minutes later, she calls again. They're like, she's gonna ruin it, don't answer it. 5 minutes later, same thing. No one answers the phone. 20 minutes later, a police officer comes to the door and he says, you better call the hospital, your dad's not doing so good. So I'm like, can we call the hospital now? So we do, and sure enough, they're gonna unplug him. He's got no lungs left, it's liquefied everything. I wanna go there, but of course we can't because everyone is really high and really drunk. So I don't know what to do. I kind of collapse into my mom's arms crying. I go up to the bedroom that I'm staying in and I cry myself to sleep, and 20 minutes later I hear them start a movie. So if you know that jingle, Christmas Vacation. Are they watching Christmas Vacation? We just found out my dad died an hour ago. So I didn't know how much this was going to affect me, but it was kind of the beginning of my family's avoidance. So we went to my dad's funeral 2 days later, and after that, nobody talked about it ever again. Christmas days came and went. Everyone just eat, drink, and be merry, as my mom said, which I found kind of strange. But anytime I tried to bring him up, because I still cared about him, they didn't want to hear it. I felt bad for feeling sad. I shouldn't feel sad. It's not right because he was such a piece of shit. So if I brought him up, my sister would say, oh, he's a sperm donor. My mom would say he's the bastard. And I realized I shouldn't bring him up anymore. So I pushed it down as hard as I could, which affected me later in life, which I didn't realize that it would. So what did I do? Instead, I tried to focus on music. I needed something to focus on. I grew my hair out down to here. I wore a tie-dye t-shirt. I joined a band called the Hallucinations, and basically we tried as best we could to look and sound like we were from the 60s. This is a song called Angry, and it could really only be described as being written by a teenager. This is a song about today's day and age. Adults power crazy and kids full of rage. It's hard to be happy, it's hard to have fun, it's hard to give a damn about anyone. Everything is done for popularity and it makes me sick. What makes them better than everyone else? The fact that they're all self-centered pricks, empty on the inside, makeup on the surface. Sometimes I wonder if life has a purpose. I don't know what they want me to be and I don't really care, but I've got to be popular, I have got to be there. Let's do our best to try to be cool, to fit the approval of some popular fool. But when everything's all said and done, count me out, I'm an individual. Still my best song. So speaking of the Hallucinations, I had a New Year's party where I was clearly trying to escape, and I did 6 grams of mushrooms to see if I could get higher than all my friends. And I did. I succeeded. I fell into a portal. I didn't know where I was, but clearly I did something wrong, and my friends put me in the bathroom, and that's where I fell into the bathtub, squirting shampoo and conditioner on myself, screaming, Ozzy Osbourne ain't nothing, I am Black Sabbath. That's what my friends told me. While laying in that bathtub, I transported to every bathtub I'd ever bathed in, and I thought I was a rock star, which is, I guess, what they do. My mom had to be called from her New Year's plans and come pick me up and walk me down the stairs, put my shoes on me, and I was like, oh my God, my mom's putting my shoes on me. This is how it works. And when I got into the car, I thought I was either going to repeat that night for the rest of my life or I was going to die. Now, I don't really know why I did that, but I have a feeling it's because I was pushing down a lot of stuff. So after the Hallucinations, I guess after both, the band and, yeah, both kinds of hallucinations. The hallucinations didn't last, the band. I had to start, someone told me that I was actually passive aggressive. Now, I had 2 friends and a girlfriend tell me this, and my friends actually had a nickname for me, passive aggressive. Now, I didn't even know what the term meant. I thought it sounded like cool. I'm like, oh, that's the cool way of being aggressive. I'll just be passive about it. But it turns out it wasn't that cool. And I realized that I learned that behavior from my mother and sister. They didn't deal with things. They were very passive aggressive. I kind of became that. So it was really hard to hear that information, but I really didn't want to be like my mom or sister. So I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna do this anymore. I'm gonna call things out on the spot. I'm gonna really face my fears, which really came in handy when I started working for people I didn't respect. Okay, here's some really sad news. I've worked about 22 jobs in my life. I'm really, really good at getting jobs. I'm just not good at not quitting them. At the end of the day, I really just hate jobs. Nice. actually had way more jobs than that, but I couldn't fit them all into that song. It was long enough, I think you'll agree. Surprisingly, I only got fired from one of those jobs. The rest I quit, so I was pretty proud of myself for that. So facing my new confrontation skills, I was really setting up tasks for myself to really make sure I get rid of that stuff I didn't want. So my second job, the law scanning document job, you know, from the song. I really wanted to quit in a big way because I really hated that job. The management would come in and just sneer at us, and they would punish us for handing in work late, even though they had computers that were 20 years old. It was the computer's fault. They'd have us bring wine to their clients, which I called bribe wine, and they would just send us home early without pay if they didn't have enough work for us. It was like I didn't like them. So I wrote a big manifesto. I put it into every desk at everyone at work, and then I actually went to my main manager and I was like, I just want you to read something for me. And I made him sit down and read this letter in front of me, and my heart was pounding really fast. But I was like, I think I'm doing it. I think I'm getting over it. And under his breath, kind of angrily, he'd be like, oh, treats employees like cattle. That's interesting. Make employees take bribe wine to clients. That's also interesting. And so I was like, so what did you think? When he was done. And he said, it's poorly written and full of falsehoods. And we agreed to disagree, and I left. He didn't want me around any longer. I went home to post it on Facebook, though, and they sent me a cease and desist from their lawyers. I had my fun. But the cool thing about that story was a month later, they replaced all of the old computers, and because I was still friends with people that worked there, and they actually made a point to say, this wasn't because of a certain someone's letter. And I really feel like that was admission of guilt. Clearly it was because of the letter. So I felt like, yay, I'm going in the right direction, which was kind of cool. So before all of this stuff, I mean, I was always obsessed with comedy. It was my favorite thing. I even sent a letter to Lorne Michaels when I was 16 asking him to put me on Saturday Night Live because I was so damn funny. And guess what? He didn't. I guess that's not how you get on that show. I would swear that's how Adam Sandler got on. But anyway, didn't get on SNL. But comedy really served me well when I was dealing with my dad's death. It was like if you could turn anything into a funny situation, you could use that and then get out of any situation you want. You had kind of like a lifelong friend and a shield from all the hurt if you had some. So when I found out that I could go to college for comedy, I went. And yes, this is probably only in Canada. But I went to college and I have a diploma in comedy. What a joke my life has actually been. And that's on my resume, and I still got all those jobs. So anyway, after graduating college, my friends and I that I met, we started doing comedy nights, open mic nights. We did some videos, and some of our videos actually got played on TV, and they're like, we want to have you on the show to interview you about your videos. And it was live television, and it was right at Christmas, and my friend had just made me this shirt, and I was like, Mom, make sure you tune in to this channel at this time because I'm going to be on TV. And she's like, okay, Wes, make sure you tape it. And I got on TV wearing this. And she didn't like it. And I can't tell if that's passive-aggressive or aggressive-aggressive, but I clearly had some steam to let off. So yeah, comedy can be a double-edged sword, I found. If you lean too heavily on it, you can turn everything into a joke and then bypass real connections with people, which isn't always good. Finding where the stage ends and I begin has been my goal for my whole life now, and it's not always time to make jokes. Who's ready for some comedy? I'm going to use this as a mic. Hey everyone, my name's Wes McClintock. So some people say I look like Clark Kent. Thanks. I look like the loser version of Superman. Next joke. I was Googling myself, and did you know that there's a McClintock effect? That's right. Yeah, there's a McClintock effect. You heard about this? No? All right, no? Okay. Basically, the McClintock effect is when enough women get into a room for long enough, their periods sync up. Well, you're welcome, ladies. Good night. That's all I have. So, after years of going to open mic nights, waiting for hours and hours to be like 41st at 1:30 a.m., I realized it was time to break up with comedy. Get up on that stage again. Got my jokes in my hand. I'm gonna make them laugh. If I pace myself, don't go too fast. In the end, they'll all remember me as the guy who was so funny. But I'm breaking up with comedy. I'm breaking up with comedy. I'm finished with the rule of three. I'm breaking up with comedy. I can't believe they didn't laugh. So, after quitting comedy, I was like, I miss music, I miss rocking out with a band, I miss playing bass with nobody paying attention to me. So I eventually found myself in a band that actually had a manager and a label and touring plans, and this was my excitement. I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna do it. I was obsessed with classic rock DVDs, and I knew it would be just like the Led Zeppelin DVDs I was obsessed with. Huge tour buses, screaming fans, zero money, and car crashes in the Canadian prairies. I was so ready for it. I was in multiple car crashes in the Canadian prairies because we always had to tour in winter, and we actually had to like salvage our smashed gear out of a ditch and leave the trailer behind while it was snowing. And I was like, is this worth it? And plus I wasn't getting paid, so I was like, I don't know, living out my dreams always kind of wasn't like this. But there's always those moments where you're like, I think we're gonna make it, whatever that means. Like basically one time we were invited to LA to play this cool mansion party for agents, and I was like, man, we're gonna make it, and nobody cared. Nobody cared. We were nominated for a Juno Award. You're not familiar with the Junos? All right, so picture the Grammys, but way less famous musicians, way less people in general, and every year it's hosted by Michael Bublé. You're jealous of Canada's industry, aren't you? Well, we were nominated for a Juno Award. One time we got Alex Lifeson to play on our album. I was a huge Rush fan. I thought this meant something. Nobody cared. So I had to quit another passion of mine. And I was like, I got to figure out something else. So you can see that there's a thread through this show, another thread, Crazy Dad, and the other one is me and money. I've never been good at making money. Following my dreams has never paid off, and as you know by the song, I'm really not good at jobs. So I realized I had to figure out an alternate way to make money because I was desperate enough. And so when I was living in Toronto, I'd see these posters that paid pretty well by my sad musician, poor, broke comedian standards, $4,500 for 2 weekends. You have to be this height, this age, and you had to do these drugs, cocaine, methamphetamine, stuff like that. So I had all the other stuff, I just didn't do the drugs. But I was so desperate that I was like, I'm gonna see if I can lie about this. So I called up the number and I said, yeah, I'm a coke user, yeah, coke. And like, okay, sir, so how much coke do you do? I was like, oh, 10 times a day for the past 8 years. And they're like, that's too much coke for this study. And I was like, I thought you needed a coke head. And so I dialed it back. I said I was really nervous because I was partially on coke. And sorry, I just get really ramped up. So I gave her a number that made sense, and then she actually let me into the study. Now, I felt bad for lying, but I said I was really desperate. I got in there thinking I was going to meet a bunch of, drug users or, addicts or whatever. Turns out the whole thing is filled with people like me, all lying. All people who are actors, musicians, people who just don't want regular jobs, scumbags like me. I've actually met a group, they called themselves the degenerates. So like, we're the degenerates. We avoid the society pitfalls, and so it was really funny. So anyway, you really find out, the thing I found out about myself at these studies is that I am a coffee fiend because you are not allowed coffee at these studies. So I would get really big headaches in the morning. And other people were like, man, I really wish we could have coffee. And I met a guy there who became my friend, and he's like, yo, Wes, man, meet me in the bathroom. And I was like, oh, okay. So either he wants to give me drugs or it's sexual, I don't know. So I was a bit nervous to go in. And I was like, what's up, man? He's like, yo, check this out. Opens up his sock. He has a cellophane bag filled with instant coffee. And he had a Dixie cup, and he's like, "You want some, man?" He's mixing it up in cold water. I was like, hopefully this is as close as I get to prison. Hook me up. Hook me up. I will have some of that coffee. And honestly, it tasted so good. So these guys made some good money, and I actually gave it a stab for a few years. And it was hard because, like, I hated needles, but I got over that. So this is a song about that. I can't believe it. I make money for bleeding. It's honest work. Has lots of perks. I do what I'm told to. Swallow pills but don't chew. I read tons of books. I think I'm hooked. I meet other liars who are sick and tired of wasting time waiting in line. Watch tons of movies. I write songs and daydream. I can't go back. I've found my track. Taking my blood, not taking my soul. Working a job was taking its toll. Taking my blood, not taking my soul. Working a job was taking its toll. Taking my blood, not taking my soul. Working a job was taking its toll. Taking my blood, not taking my soul. Working a job was taking its toll. All right, so what is this show all about? Well, I've realized through the years, through my decisions, through all the things I've done in my life, I really remind myself of my dad. Not the bad stuff like poisoning trees in the nighttime or punching horses in the face, nothing like that. But there's a lot of qualities I share with him. And it's kind of weird, the more I grow up, the more I realize that. And I've come to this weird path where it's just like, why do I miss this guy? Why do I miss this man who was so mean, so selfish, so angry? And what I've come to realize is that love can be a gray area. It's possible to love and hate someone at the same time, it's very hard for my black and white brain to comprehend. I miss him so much, and like I found a picture of him holding a baby tiger not too long ago, and I have so many questions. Mainly, where'd you get a baby tiger, Dad? The second question being, you didn't punch that baby tiger, did you? But I'll never get my answer, that chapter is closed. A few years ago, I brought up my pain to my mom because we had never discussed anything, never talked about anything. I said, Mom, in order for me to go forward, I gotta actually talk about this stuff with you and with my sister. And my mom agreed to it, which was great, but my sister declined. And I haven't spoken to her in 8 years, and it's super sad. And I feel like we could really connect over the pain that we share. You know me really well now, and I have a unique treasure chest of pain. We all have our own unique treasure chest of pain. Mine isn't special, it's just my own unique treasure chest of pain. And for years and years, I wanted to ignore it and pretend it wasn't there. And now that I've opened it and looked it in the face, it's a little less scary. And I feel that in our society, admitting we're sad or things bother us is not okay. It means that you're weak. But I actually feel like if we could open up with each other, talk about things and listen, it would actually make us a lot stronger. So now you're pretty certain that I do have brain damage from the amniotic fluid. I can see that. Burn him, it's poison. So I have one last song to leave you on, and I really appreciate you coming out. This song is called We Hide. We are friends, but we don't talk about that much. We tell jokes, reference shows, but there's a lot that we don't touch. We're so strong, our shadows long, nothing can hold us down. We buy our toys and anything that makes noise, no pain can hang around. We hide all life, we hide. shield ourselves from the hurt inside. We can change and try again. You know we are the same. Don't hide all life. Don't hide. Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate you coming. Thanks for coming out. I have some buttons if you'd like with my little blue face on them. I'll hand them out. Yes, I'll get you one.